We have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and deceived. Listen, I am Tampa Campbell, and I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to share with you guys a skinny on something that really hits close to home to me, and that's the word failure. Just recently, I had a huge situation where I totally failed. Like, I fell flat on my face, and it was horrible for me. So there were a lot of feelings involved with this failure. So I decided to do some research and figure out what exactly is failure and why am I feeling this way and why this thing almost took me out of the game. So stay tuned. I am going to share some very good information with you guys, and I hope that you all are able to get something out of it. All right, so we're back. So let's look at the definition of the word failure. It's a state or condition of not meeting a desirable or intended objective or goal, and it may be viewed as the opposite of success. Some bulletin notes: it means to fall short or losing of strength and power, a breakdown in operational function, neglect or omission, not succeeding at doing or becoming. So no wonder when we hear the word failure or we are faced with something that we may not succeed at, we feel this yuckiness, it just tears us apart because nobody wants to fail or be a failure. But listen, I had a situation not too long ago again that I failed big. Not only did I let myself down, I let other people down. Now, I've failed before because I'm a risk taker. So I do a lot of different things and I get involved in it. And some of them I do well, some of them I fall flat on my face. So I'm not a stranger to failing, but in this particular situation, it was just such a big failure and I had never experienced it before. So I started to feel really bad about myself. I pulled myself out of the whole rat race just to nurse my wounds and try to see that, what's going on. And I even asked myself, like, is it really worth it? Do I need to do this anymore? And it was because I was looking at failure from a whole different perspective. I wasn't looking at failure as if, hey, listen, that didn't work out, let's do it again, because it was so big. But listen, if you're following a dream or if you're an entrepreneur or you're chasing something big, the higher you get, the more that you succeed, the failures will seem even bigger. And that's a good thing. See, because in order to succeed, we have to have some failures. That's the only way that we learn. The only way that we learn how to walk is to fail. When you have a little child or you were a baby or if you're a parent and your child is learning how to walk, they're going to fall. They're going to fall over and over and over again until they get it right. And never once do we look at them and say, oh, they'll never learn how to walk. We just look at them and say, okay, they fell down. They'll get back up and eventually they'll learn how to do it. And that holds true with the term failure. Just because you didn't succeed at something, it doesn't mean that you can't succeed at something. That means that you just have to go back, look at it, find out what went wrong, what can I do differently? Was the climate conducive to what I needed to do? There are so many different variables to failure, but it's not a bad word. There's a very powerful quote that I want to share with you guys, and it goes like this. It says, "It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you have failed by default." And that's by J.K. Rowling in a speech that she gave. And that's so powerful because if you don't take a risk, what's the point of living at all if you're not going to risk anything? So let's look at failure in terms of objective and subjective. And this is really good to me. Now, I read an article that talked about failure in the form of objective. Now, school sets us up horribly to fail or to fail. That's what I'm going to say. Because in school, we are tested. And so it's objective. Your failure is objective. If you take a test, and you fail a test, or if you're not getting good grades and you're failing out, there's a lot of negativity involved with that. One thing is that you're not keeping up with your classmates, so that tends to do something with your self-esteem. Or if you're looking to get into a good college and your grades aren't meeting standards and you're worried about, I'm not going to be able to get into a good college, or your parents are pissed off with you because you're getting these bad grades. So that sets us up and it makes us feel a certain way when we fail at something. But that's objective because it can be measured. Okay, so that's looking at failure from an objective standpoint. And if you fail a test, then that means that you need to study more. You need to learn the information. That doesn't make you a failure. That just gives you an opportunity to go back and look at the things that you missed. That's it. Now we're going to look at failure from a subjective term. And that means that it's subjective. That means that what may be a failure to you is not necessarily a failure to somebody else. So in my situation, failure was again huge. But then some folks that I talked to that later on that was involved and so forth were saying, hey, listen, you were a blessing to us. You taught us so much. We got so much out of this. Yes, things fell apart, but think of all the success that you had in the midst of what you consider to be a failure. So that really was important to me because, again, it's subjective. Just because I didn't meet a certain level of success that I felt that I needed to reach, it doesn't mean necessarily that I failed. It just gives me a better opportunity and more experience to come back better and stronger. So look at it again. Whatever the situation is, if it's objective or subjective, is it just your mind playing tricks on you, telling you, hey, you failed, you don't look good, you're embarrassing yourself? If that's just that, those things playing tricks on your mind, got to get that in order. But if it's objective and it's something that's measurable, then go back, look at it, fix it, and try it again. It's just that simple. Don't let failure take you out of the game. So look at it this way. Failure is your currency for success. So it's impossible to become successful at anything without ever failing. So you can't just tiptoe past failing, no matter how beautiful or brilliant you are. Everybody has to fail in order to succeed. So the more times you fail, the more knowledge you earn, and that's that currency. The more knowledge you get, the better you become at something. And you can look at those past mistakes and figure out, what did I do? So when you look at failure as currency, each failure is $1. You know what I'm saying? And you just put that money into your bank of knowledge or your experience, and then you're building up your resilience to those things, and you understand again how to not make those same mistakes. Now if you keep making the same mistakes, then that's a whole nother video, right? But again, if you look at it that way, because that's exactly what it is, failure should be welcomed, it should be cherished, it should be embraced. And I'm telling you, those are words to live by if you're planning on doing anything worthwhile. Any type of success that you want to achieve is going to require you to build up your currency. Okay, your failure is currency. You have to build it up, right? The failure is currency for success. Welcome it, embrace it, cherish it, and it's money in the bank. I am Tandra Campbell, and I thank you guys for joining me today. Hit the subscribe button and join the family. So see you guys very soon. And again, I really appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. And remember, failure, we celebrate failure. It's not a dirty word.